Hey everybody, welcome back. It's business and it's time to cover the Tier 7 German battleship, the Gneisenau, which is more or less a tech tree version of the Scharnhorst, if you want to look at it that way. They do have the same playstyle, but they do approach things quite differently in some respects, and we'll get over to covering that here in a second. So first things first, what you gotta know about this ship is that it's fast as hell. It's the second fastest battleship in the game, behind only the Iowa, and it's 32 knots without the speed flag, and I think that puts it up to 33.4 or something like that. I mean, that's pretty damn good. It does have a little bit less range than the Scharnhorst at 19.5 instead of 19.9. Your hull upgrade gives you, of course, nice improved rudder shift, which is really beneficial in the fact that this is a surprisingly flexible ship. If you haven't had the chance to play the Scharnhorst, you can purchase that. But of course, you get some more health as well. You get the actually have slightly fewer secondaries on the B hull. They make way for the enhanced AA defense, which I gotta say, I really like the fact that this is more focused on that right there, the dual purpose long range secondaries, because that makes it quite a bit different from the Colorado and Nagato. The Colorado, for instance, is really stacked on the close range AA support, because I mean it's really dangerous to have planes in the vicinity of it if they're close. Now the Gneisenau is able to start engaging these planes from far away and do significant damage from that range, but that's a good way to ward people away. Whereas the Colorado, they get closer, they drop, and then all their planes start getting shot down, and there's a bit of a different, it's a pretty tangible difference, as far as, I mean, the fact that the Gneisenau has a larger turning radius than the Colorado, I mean, it kind of balances itself out in that sense, because you're going to get hit by more, but, whatever. The interesting part with the turrets is that they're quick. 31.6 degrees, or I'm sorry, 31.6 seconds on the 180-degree turret traverse with expert marksman, which is really nice. Again, that's great for the close quarters engagement. And your citadel damage is solid at 11,600, and you do have the torps to back you up there as well. 26-second reload, because these are basically, actually they are the same exact guns as the Tirpitz, and of course you do have the torpedo sets as well, 6 kilometers and pretty fast reload. And the difference being from the Tirpitz, you get 3 instead of 4. That makes a substantial difference when you're engaging higher tier ships, and they have like really good belt armor against the torpedoes, the torpedo belt armor. So just something to bear in mind. Slot 2, do not run the accuracy module. I swear to God, that gets the close range accuracy. It just shits all over it. It's so much worse. I had such a hard time engaging enemy ships at close range with it, and actually any range. There were occasions where it improved, of course. I mean, it's RNG, but damn. I have no regret switching over to the secondaries for slot 2. Now taking a look at the armor here. Take a look at this. That's a hell of a lot of armor to have on a tier 7 ship. I mean, 70 millimeters on the lower half of the bow. That is amazing. And this is the interesting part too. So there's the strips along the side here, right? We have some pretty good damage, or I'm sorry, pretty good armor. And then we have that. So even when you're in the close range engagements and you're turning away from somebody, they're not going to be able to punch through that unless they like at an angle. They're not going to be able to overmatch that and just punch right in and hit your citadel. But this is really where you want to aim, just above this red strip here, because that's where they will give up a ton of damage. And this is true for basically any German battleship, but especially the ones with the Scharnhorst, the Gneisenau, the Tirpitz, the Bismarck on up. It's applicable to the Kurfürst, and you can do a huge amount of damage to those ships. Now, my setup with this, of course, I'm going straight for manual secondary, so AFT. I do have basic firing training on at the time of this this video going live, so it was just a matter of using the dragon flags to be able to get that extra point. I would love to be able to get vigilance on this as well. That would help a ton in the close quarters engagement, and then I would have my final point be for expert loader. You could definitely run manual AA control on this. You could really get a lot of mileage out of that. that, I mean, you're doubling your long range AA. That makes you a totally different type of ship to try to engage compared to the other tier 7 battleships. Now, of course, I do run the secondary build on this, so maximizing my secondaries here with the flag brings it out to 7.6 kilometers with the speed flag. Look at that, 33, and who cares? This is a fast ship. Anything over 30 knots is damn fast for a battleship. Now, taking a look at the camo, of course, these are my custom colors, and I may be changing this again. I'm really indecisive when it comes to my camo colors, but I really do enjoy the red. I think it works pretty well with the white, the gray, the black. I really quite like that. But yeah, it's a good looking ship. Very, very handsome. And just one last look at that. And of course, the skin, the base skin is by Tan, so you can see that in the description below. But let's take a look at my my main man here, Freyr, knocking the shit out of this enemy Gneisenau. That's 36,000 damage from a New Mexico armament. So while it has incredible armor, don't think that you're invulnerable with it. And you just gotta be prepared, because you're going to take a hell of a lot of damage in close quarters fights. You should always expect it, because that's where you're by far at your most vulnerable, and where you're of course able to do the most damage and be the most effective. Now in this particular instance, I pushed in, and if you're wondering why that guy didn't fire at me, he just devastatingly struck a Pensacola behind me. So he did a pretty good job with that. I mean, he wasn't going to really do any damage to me, as it were, but now I'm in an awkward position because Tirpitz has my port flank, and I'm going bow forward against the Colorado, or so I thought. He just citadelled the hell out of me at a pretty good angle there. You know, and maybe it looks more like a pretty good angle to me, and for him, you know, was... I don't know, I haven't had many situations like that where I was citadelled in this ship at that particular angle. It's usually when I'm just flat broadside and I've got to make a turn, otherwise I'm, you know, pretty much screwed. So I turn over to the Tirpitz, and Tirpitz, Colorado, definitely dangerous ships to face. I try to exercise some caution against these, especially the Tirpitz, because of those torps, because while you want to get close, you gotta try to control it as best as you can and keep them turning, and always trying to make sure that if the torps are coming, they're going to be at enough of a range to be able to, you know, give yourself the time to dodge them. So, and always be mindful of your turret's position as well as enemies. You never know when you can help out somebody else while your turrets are rotating around. But I gotta say, when I first started playing this ship, I really, really did not enjoy it. And again, that's when I was running the accuracy mod, and I didn't really, at the time, have the right captain for it in terms of the skills. But what I've noticed with the German battleships is really interesting, is that they become so much more, not just fun and playable, but they're legitimately better ships with the more captain skills you get. It puts them on a bit of a different playing field. And now, you could say that about any ship, but I swear there's something really good about the difference between a fresh captain with 3 points or something, or an 18-point captain. I mean, holy crap, the things you can do with that. It's a totally different beast when you're in close quarters combat. I mean, I really love being able to just be the tip of the spear with this, and of course the Scharnhorst. Again, they're extremely similar playstyles, but the difference is that the Scharnhorst has smaller guns, but it relies on more volume to be able to do damage, whereas the Gneisenau has larger caliber, but has lower volume, which means that, you know, of course, the penetration is what should be able to help you out with being able to do the damage. But with this ship, the Scharnhorst, the Bismarck, so on and so forth, which, and at the time of this video, I have actually just unlocked the tier 9, the Frederick, the FDG. Looking forward to trying that one out, and that should be pretty interesting. But they're very much how to, well, it's tip of the spear type of stuff, you know, engaging multiple ships and just really putting them into the grinder where they can't compete with you, because this is where you're best at. This is where it's hardest to do damage to you. I mean, you're going to take a lot of damage in these close quarters fights, and this kind of reminds me of like an action movie where the heroes are trying to outrun the like collapsing floor or something. There's a ton of enemies over here, and I do not want to be opened up until to them until I'm, you know, at a pretty good speed here, but trying to engage everybody that I can, and gonna basically flip my ship back around and start charging right into sea, because I see a particular opportunity here, as there's a Kiev that's just smoking up here, and there's also an Iowa that is moving into sea. There is a Fletcher right next to him as well, but I'm feeling pretty good about being able to approach these guys. So what the 380mm guns provide for you is, at close range, you should be able to punch through very thick armor. And again, these are Tirpitz guns, so you should be able to anticipate, well, you should be rather comfortable with the prospect of doing damage, but also not doing damage, because those shells went way too damn high. And it didn't really look like he was moving at the rate of speed that would cause those to end up higher from where I aimed them. I thought I aimed low enough, and they ended up higher than I expected, so that kind of sucked. I've been very disappointed by this against multiple broadside battleships, like, you know, over the course of me playing it, and it's just one of those things where the more you stick with it, the more you stick in the fight, the stronger the ship becomes, because you've got the faster reload, you've got the faster turret traverse, you've got the torpedoes. I mean, hell, you reload your main battery twice after launching torpedoes, and you've almost got another set ready to go. You've got a really excellent maneuverability. You know, the flexibility of that rudder shift, the speed, that combination is fantastic. And your secondaries are causing fires because they're all HE. And that's one thing, by the way, in case a lot of people aren't aware of this, is that the Japanese are really the only ones that have above a certain tier. I think it's tier 6. I can't remember. They're the only ones that have AP as well as HE for their secondaries. The Japanese, the Americans, they have strictly HE. So it's pretty interesting when you get into a close quarters fight how much damage they can actually do to you. But I love charging Iowas with this. Booyah. They just sit there and they take it, and you know, I've done very well against Iowas with this. I do not feel the slightest bit screwed when I get up tiered. I love charging smoke and just laying out destroyers with this ship because it promotes aggressiveness. You've got to be aggressive with this. You can't sit back and expect these shells to do some damage, because while it happens on occasion, you just can't bank on it, you know? So, I mean, yay, I got a double citadel. What you don't see is the fact that I fired 4 salvos at the Nuremberg there, and I think I got maybe like 3 overpens out of all 3 salvos combined. I mean, that's terrible. And it took forever for me to finally get rid of that damn Nicholas, for instance, but this is exactly the situation I'm talking about. I'm pretty much screwed here, right? Got 2 ships coming in on my left. I've got a Nuremberg that I double citadeled. I have my secondaries going off after him. I've got a Congo on my right. There's a New Mexico further back. And I feel really good about this engagement. Like, this is my comfort zone. Which, you can't say that for a lot of ships, you know? And I'm going to keep going straight here because of the fact that, 1, I did the damage I needed to do against the Congo, and I was anticipating those torps, of course. Luckily, I didn't have to maneuver much and expose my side to the Congo while he was still alive, which, right there, he just died. I fire my full salvo at the New Mexico, get 12,600 damage, and then I go bow forward. He disabled my B turret, and this, to me, is a work of art. And I'm not saying on me. Like, this is the most beautiful part of playing this ship. I'm going in against the New Mexico. He's got a fair amount of health left. I'm dumping my torps, and look at this convergence. I know it's coming. I've got my turrets lining up, fire at the same time as the torps hit. Goodbye. That is amazing to me, and that is exactly why I love playing this ship. And this is actually my highest damage match in the Gneisenau. I missed out on some opportunities to do possibly a lot more, if not just a bit more, and I'll show that to you in a second here. But you know, the interesting part of the Gneisenau again is the lack of reliability at any type of range. Really, you get under 10 kilometers, and this ship starts really coming into its own. And again, it's just like the Scharnhorst. You want to get close. You want to just basically think of it like a bar fight. And notice where I'm aiming there on the Baron. Not at the belt armor, at the secondaries, because that's where the weaker armor is going to be. And at that angle, that's my best chance of being able to do damage. And you'll see me at around 198,000 damage there. I had the opportunity to do more, but I screwed up and I didn't go south into C, well, their cap. I went to the right, anticipating that the Scharnhorst and the Pensacola would go that way as well, but, you know, they didn't. This was one of my favorite matches in it, too, because, again, it just shows the flexibility of the ship, being able to respond to various threats, and I wanted to make sure that our shores and the battleship that's just to my north behind me here stayed alive, because the shores is really important as far as being able to stay in the match as long as possible. The amount of fires that it can start, it's huge. It really makes a big difference over the course of the game. And eventually I will go ahead and throw up the Buddioni and also the Shores overviews. I just have no interest in playing cruisers or even talking about them anymore. So we'll get to that eventually. But unfortunately, Jason, Pizza Ron, he got into a bit of a bad situation here where there was a bit of a miscommunication between us, and he pulled south and got a bit away from me. I was hoping that he would be able to pull back, but unfortunately he was also on his repair cooldown when he had the carrier's attention here, which really sucked, and unfortunately that caused him to end up getting killed. I managed to take out the New Orleans, get another overpen, yay, on the on the enemy Colorado. And check this out, this is pretty interesting. See how he's turning away? Which gives my shells a bit more chance to be able to penetrate and do solid damage. But then, check this out. This is, again, the real problem with the Gneisenau, the consistency. I mean, I'm amazed any of those even went into that area, considering how bad the dispersion was. And, yeah. And I'm adjusting my mic's position, so sorry. Still got a few things scattered about here post-move, but this should be a little bit more clear now. You know, I guess a way of describing this ship would be like a plaque on the wall, like one of those motivators in some shitty little company that has, you know, like a low-rent office or something, and it's supposed to be like something cute or funny or ironic, you know, one of those things. And this ship is consistently inconsistent. God, I can't believe I just said that. But it really does cover all the bases with it, as far as the main battery is concerned. As much as you want to be able to rely on the main battery, you can't. And as I find out, I have a Baron dead ahead of me. I've got the Colorado chasing me along with the Miyoko, and I'm trying to see if my secondaries can finish the job here on the Hiryu so I can use my main battery on something else. You know, it's just one of those things that it's a very, very interesting ship, and it's not for everybody because of that. Effectively, if you're in the back and you're 15, 20 kilometers away and you're trying to snipe with this, you're doing it wrong. And not only that, you can't possibly be effective. Because more often than not, like, I mean, this is not a North Carolina in terms of its accuracy. It's not a Colorado. It relies on that in-your-face type of mentality where you're just absolutely hammering away at somebody with your secondaries, your torpedoes, and you're outmaneuvering them because you can. and you're dumping 380 millimeter shells into their broadside, or their backside, or into their guns to disable them. There's just not much you can rely upon when it comes to the guns. You don't know what you're going to get, and sometimes you get really fantastic dispersion, and it's almost always when you miss. Battleship life right there. And then you get salvos that are 1.5 times the ship's length. It's like you unselected X and fired anyways. It's really crazy. And then you get stuff like this, which I obviously couldn't have expected to double Citadel to Miyoko at that range. I mean, all right, but it's just, again, my mentality with this: keep firing as often as you can as you close the distance against the target. Don't be dismayed by the damage that you're not doing. You should be able to get to, well, like what, 2,500 damage, 4,000, 6,000 damage. That's going to be your regular stuff. So again, it's more of like that, almost like that cruiser mentality, where you just kind of chipping away until you get into that zone where, say 10, 12 kilometers away and less, somebody turns their broadside to start trying to keep a distance from you, and you nail them for 11,000 damage, like an enemy Scharnhorst or something like that. That's worthwhile, and that's the type of damage that really starts to open up when you get closer and closer to targets. You should be able to do quite a bit of damage to the larger ships, such as like a Tirpitz, a Bismarck, and also the Friedrich. Those ships give up a ton of damage to a ship like this, and really basically any other battleship, so long as they aim above the, like, into that belt and deck area that I showed you earlier, where if you go back to the Izumo overview, I have some clips showing 30,000 damage salvos non-citadel against Tirpitz, because you aim into the superstructure in the deck, and you're going to rack up a ton of non-citadel damage. And the thing is, that's control. You may not be doing a knockout punch, but if regardless of how somebody's turning, and say they're trying to get away, if you're able to consistently do damage, you're in control. And that's what this ship is about. You control the fight way more with a ship like this, the Scharnhorst and others, that it's up to you to be able to basically bring it home. Bring that prize home with a few kills at the close range, multiple targets engaging you clearing them all out. This is the type of ship that can do it. And I hated it at first, but damn, this is a fun ship that totally revitalized my enjoyment of battleships. It's frustrating as hell at times, but it's totally worth it in my opinion. And in the comments below, I'm sure it's going to be pretty split on the experiences with this ship, but I look forward to reading them. And thank you for watching today, guys. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you back here soon. Take care.